Hello, welcome to CarCast. I'm Matt, the moderator, Deandra, here with Bill Goldberg.
Yeah, I'm
Eating breakfast.
on site in my kitchen eating breakfast because obviously I'm getting ready for my final match, which is sometime this summer, and I have to eat like every 2 hours. So, um, unfortunately, this is kind of the time period, and I'm hopefully people won't get disgusted with the amount of food or the fact that I'm actually eating during the podcast. So, you know.
Yeah. So you gotta get chickens because eggs are scarce and you're eating a dozen a day or something, right? So you
Well,
gotta
here, I'll throw a little advertisement out because yesterday this company
yeah.
showed
Barnett
up at
Farm.
showed up at my house with 12 dozen eggs,
Wow.
and
So
she
that's a
doesn't.
week.
Yeah, she does. Well, not even. Um, she doesn't sell them, and God, I don't know. She's got 200 chickens or something like that, and so she's looking for good homes for the chicken or for the eggs, and the good home for those eggs is in my stomach. So it was very nice of her to do it, especially nowadays when a dozen eggs are like $12.
Yeah.
But it's made us segue to purchasing chickens and having them on property and just chicken coops being set up as we speak. And yeah, it's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
Chicken coop.
You're gonna have to just do it yourself. You're right. Like you're just consuming. Um, All right, let me get this out of the way. A word from our friends at Bet Online. They are the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for betting on all the madness. Whether you're a seasoned fan or a first-time bettor, Bet Online is your ultimate game day companion. With the largest selection of odds on everything from college basketball to a $200,000 bracket contest, BetOnline continues to be your number one sports betting source. From every Cinderella story to hat trick, BetOnline has you covered with odds, stats, and more for every game, every play, and every win. BetOnline, the game starts here. So yeah, just following up on the conversation for the last month or so is wrapped up the stem cell therapy, had a little downtime, but now that it's several weeks in, you can start training again. Obviously, you're already into it. You're training, you're eating, and this is what we're trying to do, right? Like you want to continue to be healthy, you want to feel good. After a month or so of the treatment, I want to ask you how that feels. And now we're what? We're leaning down, bulking up, just
Yeah,
going back into the Goldberg, the
the,
monster.
the conundrum that I've always had is how do I gain weight and lose fat at the same time,
Of
right?
course, yeah. We
So
all want to do that.
now, yeah, yeah. Well, it's not the easiest thing, even at 20 years old, but at 58 years old, it's a lot tougher. Um, the number one thing that contributes to how you look is 75% of what you put in your mouth. That's what you look like, right?
Yeah.
Now, quite obviously, the stem cells are going to help me out in a number of areas. The change of my diet is exponentially the number one factor as to number one, how I feel, number two, how I look. The problem with the new diet is getting enough protein because I'm not supposed to eat pork. I'm only supposed to eat red meat 3 days a week. It's very tough. So, I mean, either I'm very gaseous around the house by eating so many beans, or I'm oversaturated with eggs, because I eat 2 dozen a day. But it's
Did
it's
you
tough.
whole
But
eggs or
no,
mostly
I just
whites?
I just had a dozen, or I'm having a dozen as we speak. But I had three yolks.
Yeah.
Right now, that takes a lot of protein out of it, but it also takes the cholesterol and the fat that's in there out of it. But um, so it's a tough dilemma to have. I don't eat pork. Um, I haven't had real bacon. This stuff is like
That's the
cardboard.
the turkey bacon.
Yeah, it's brutal. This stuff right here, this bread right here, that is it's gluten-free bread, which means it kind of like falls completely apart. I'm
Yeah, it's kind of
eating
like cardboard. It's tough to get
it's
behind it.
cardboard. Yeah, and then the butter that's on there, it's true butter. It's not margarine. It's some kind of olive oil butter, and I mean it's just a weird
Are you
thing.
eating turkey, fish, chicken?
Oh yeah, that's it. Turkey, fish, chicken. Now, like I said, I'm supposed to eat red meat 3 days a week. I told them I can't adhere to that and gain the weight that I need. So I'm eating red meat 5 days a week. Um, I have to do that. I mean, throughout the day, I eat like 6 or 7 times. You can't tell me that I'm not going to get just sick and tired of fish. I already am. I'm sick and tired of fish. I'm sick and tired of chicken. An air fryer is another alternative to use.
Yeah.
That's become kind of my best friend. But it's a process, man. But throughout the process, I feel one hell of a lot better. I'm a lot healthier. I got a lot more energy. It's a diet based on reducing your inflammation, right?
Yeah.
So it's tough to have a diet where you're reducing your inflammation and then have a diet where you have to eat 10 to 15,000 calories a day and try to gain weight and muscle, right?
Yeah.
So again, it's a balance. It's tough, but that's what I do. I'm a machine, and even if I'm 58 years old, I still have to perform as such.
And how's the shoulder now? After the stem cell, now you're putting weight on it. Yeah.
It's so much better. It's unbelievable. I mean, the fact that I could just do this is
Right. I
like,
mean, it was tough to live 5 pounds over your head.
yeah, I'm pressing 40-pound dumbbells, which is 100 pounds less than what I used to press, but it's all about baby steps, right?
Yeah.
Um, the problem is that I got let loose Thursday of last week to work out, and I got the flu immediately. And so I've been sick ever since. And I worked out for 20 minutes the night before last, and I almost passed out because I can't breathe. I mean, I've got the flu like everybody else does, a big sinus deal. My head is like that teacher on South Park,
Yeah.
Mr. Hand or whatever the hell it is. So I mean, I'm blowing goobers out, and it sucks, but everyone else is going through it too. And Gage is practicing as he's sick. So
Yeah.
it's nothing that people don't have to deal with every day, but it
But
just
if you think
sucks.
about it, it's like think of all the changes you've already put your body through in the last 2 months, from diet changes and
No
then the stem cell stuff.
Copenhagen,
Yeah.
it's unbelievable. It's and I and it's really hard to point to one area as to the main factor of me feeling better. I would say the food probably has more to do with it than everything.
Yeah.
Truly. Um, the nicotine or lack of nicotine. I mean, every once in a while, I'll take a dip just to keep, my sanity. But I mean, it's nothing like I used to, and my body's not dependent upon it and the nicotine anymore. And it's very rewarding to be able to feel like that. But every once in a while, you got to kind of break down, and
Yeah.
um,
And
it's
then
it's a
and the
process,
training
man.
regiment's going to be a little different. I mean, just different in that, yeah, you're 58 now. You can't, I mean, as much as we want to work out as much as, in the way you did, like your workout, for example, is different than Gage's workout.
Well, yeah, I'm not gonna be shoulder shrugging 600 pounds anymore. First and foremost, because it's compression upon my spine where I got 15 shots, right?
Yeah.
But I think even if I mean, I do 500 now. There's no doubt about that. But I mean, 200 pounds less than what I used to do. Yeah, it's a totally different workout. It's going to be totally different. And the main thing is that I just have to take it slowly. I really do. I want to get back in the kickboxing ring this week. But with me being sick, maybe that's God saying, you know what? Slow down a little bit.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm taking it every day by day.
And then, and I'm curious, do you always just, I mean, other than the kickboxing and stuff, do you always just work out alone or do
Oh
you,
yes.
yeah,
Yes, a
yeah,
hundred percent. Gage will be home over spring break for a little while, but yes, I work out alone because I don't like humans. Number one, number two, I work out at my house, and number three, I usually do it late at night.
yeah.
Um, so
Yeah, listen, I remember the gym you had out here, and I know you go in and I forgot what the process was. It was like the massage chair for a while to loosen everything up, and then and then do the workout.
yeah,
Sometimes it's just a massage chair, no
now
workout.
it's a rope. Now it's a rope called a Marpo, and it's a
Okay.
resistance rope to where I stand or I sit on it, and I can put different levels up to like level 10 as far as resistance is concerned. And you can do all kind of different programs, different cardio programs, whether it's just a steady, low intensity 30-minute jaunt, or whether you go for 30 seconds, you go high intensity, high resistance. There's so many different ways to do it, but again, I have to slowly get into it because of the shoulder.
Yeah.
I don't want to reverse any positive thing that they did to me by injecting, me 4 times with stem cells in my shoulder. Quentin Rampage Jackson told me the story. I talked to him last week. I might have mentioned it, but he 2 weeks after his stem cell treatment, he felt great, and his coach put him in the gym and put him in the ring, and he blew his shoulder out.
Yeah.
I ain't doing that. I don't have time to do that. I can't do that. So I really have to listen to my body. Last night I went up to the gym. I wasn't feeling good still, and I laid down on the couch and I slept. And I woke up at 12:40 to at 12:45, and it's like I ain't working out at 12:45. Maybe that's God telling me I shouldn't work out tonight. So I didn't. Um, I'm different than I used to be, but if I'm not feeling great, I'm not pushing it because it's someone telling me or something telling me that it's too early for me to be pushing it.
Yeah.
So
Now, what about stretching and flexibility? Because that always seemed like that was really a lot of how people would get injured in the ring. Like you can bulk up and get big all you want, but even guys just running to the ring pull something or jumping into the ring or like it's not even always like taking the hit or picking somebody up. It's just it's running into the ring and diving
dude,
into it. You're pulling some. I think that happened to you. I think that happened to Vince McMahon. Didn't he
three
like
times I think it's happened to me. When I stand in the sparks and the smoke dissipates, and I throw a punch and I throw a punch and then I throw a kick. I threw that kick one time and I pulled my hamstring.
not
And then
before you even got into the ring?
I wasn't even walking to the ring yet. And it was miserable. And then yeah, that was WrestleMania. And
Yeah.
and 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 I tore my groin, and I got down in the stands to tackle Brock, and I'm like, oh my God, my groin's gone. But what can you do? Hold on, timeout. I can't do that in
You
front of
can't do
seventy
that.
thousand people, right? So you just got to go with it. And yes, stretching has a lot to do with staying healthy. And again, I don't want to reverse any of the positive effects that I've gone out of my way to try to help me to prepare for this. So, yeah, I will be doing a lot of stretching. I have been doing a lot of stretching, a lot of kind of like plyometric stuff.
Hmm.
I'm not going to go into yoga. I'm not going to say yoga for me, but I mean it's kind of a cross between a lot of core work and a lot of you know a lot of yoga positions just to stretch and to get ready to do what I need to do.
Yeah. What's the regimen before you get into the ring? What happens in the dressing room, if you will?
Well, it's changed throughout the years, but in my heyday, and once I remembered back to what I used to do, I wasn't in there talking to people like I have been in the past 4 or 5 times that I've been wrestling.
Yeah.
My family's in there, and Paul Heyman's in there, and then this guy's in here, and it's like,
Sure.
man, I didn't used to do that shit before. I used to not have anybody in there because I had to get in a perfect frame of mind, and I had to take my time and stretching and just getting physically and mentally prepared. And to me, that's the most important part. Period. End of story. So
Yeah.
I can visit with people all that they want afterwards, but
Afterward. Yeah.
nobody's going to be in my dressing room an hour before I have to go out. It's just not going to happen. So
Yeah.
I'm in there getting, listening to some badass music, not be pounding my head against the wall anymore because of yeah,
We've
my,
done that too many times.
yes, yes. But it's wind it down to one last time. I mean, it's going to be integral and extremely important for me to find out the right combination of things to do before I go out. So stretching, being by myself, getting into the right frame of mind, that's the
Yeah.
goal that I have to accomplish.
I'm curious also, do you ever use like the massage gun, like the Hypervolt or any of those things? Like,
1,000%,
yeah,
1,000%. I
yeah,
love those things. Again, it's now I'll have a guy traveling with me to stretch me and get me ready. He's been with me the last, I think, 3 or 4 matches that I've had. But in an instance to where I don't want him in there, then that replaces him. It's a Theragun or whatever it is.
yeah, any one of those. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they've really kind of evolved. I've got one as well that Tammy and I use all the time. Well, it's like she says to go and get it and put it on her back and massage her back, and I never get it. I never do it. It's mostly she's like massage my back, massage my back.
But that's the beauty of it, man. I mean, you can manipulate yourself to a position to where you can use it and it's very favorable and you don't
Yeah,
have to have any interaction with anybody else. So yeah, I feel your pain.
right. Okay. Let me just interject here for 1 second and said thank you so much to everybody that's been stopping by the Total Wine and More locations in Southern California to buy some Bravago. This is the hard seltzer company that Goldberg and I own. I appreciate every one of you that's been coming in, trying samples, buying the box. It's been a big project of mine, and I really appreciate you guys coming down and getting it. And those of you that haven't got it in the stores, you can buy it online at drinkbravago.com. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. All right. So enough about that. I want to kind of get into the car stuff, and I think you posted recently the project you guys are working on. We touched on it a little bit, but we never had a chance to show it. So I'm going to bring it up on the screen now. So it'll be up on your social media, but if you guys catch the podcast on YouTube as well, let's take a look at this. Explain what this is.
So in 2019, Dodge had a concept vehicle called the Gladiator concept truck, and it was based off a 1968 M715 Willys. And I was so enamored by that truck. If you want to Google that, it'll pop
Yeah.
right up, and you can show it next to mine. But that's where I got the vision of it, and I think a company called Fifth Quarter is the company that built it. I'm not positive on that by any means, but I was completely enamored by this freaking thing. It's a silver truck with a black, tonneau cover top. 2019 Gladiator concept vehicle.
Yeah. Let me see if I can find it.
And you will see immediately once you see that the photo of that truck exactly why I'm doing what I'm doing. Can't
Yeah.
find it.
It's called the M. What was it?
It's a M715 Willys, but it's listed under the 2019 Gladiator concept vehicle.
Yeah. Here we go.
And it's trick. It's far over the top compared to what I'm doing, but I don't need all the bells and whistles. I just need a 1200 horsepower DSR motor in
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Here's the truck that you're talking about, right?
it.
Here
Yes.
we go.
That's one of the coolest freaking trucks I've ever seen.
Yeah, that's a cool piece. Actually, I do remember seeing this at the SEMA show.
Yeah. So
So
that's
this,
that's a homodulation between a 68 Willys M715. And if you look closely, that's the TRX hood.
yeah,
There's a lot of fabrication going on here. They shortened the bed. I think it's all carbon fiber. I know the front end is carbon fiber. There's a Hellcat engine in it, but I'm going above and beyond that. And like I said, we're putting the DSR 1200 in it at least. I spoke with Dan from DSR this morning. That's a
yeah,
go. It's going to be in the MagnaFlow booth. Um, another very interesting tidbit is that I just signed a deal with iRay, and it's a thermal imaging company. And we're going to
Okay.
have a 10-inch monitor on the dash, and we'll have a thermal imaging camera mounted strategically somewhere on the vehicle to where when you're walking by at SEMA, it'll show your thermal image. And then Rigid has some lights that are thermal imagery lights
Okay.
that, that are like the round ones that are going on, that are on the rendering of my truck. Um, that that integrate perfectly. Now we're not doing that. We're not going over the top. Now, as far as the cage is concerned, yeah, we're doing that.
Yeah.
And the shocks we're using King shocks. Um, we're using some existing sponsorship with MagnaFlow because I definitely don't ever want to rub them the wrong way. And anyone who's a partner with MagnaFlow is a partner with us.
Yeah.
Kicker, we just got off the phone with Kicker. They're throwing into the deal. Nitto, obviously, we're going to put 40-inch mud terrains on that thing,
Yeah.
and 18-inch wheels, and I guess it's CM who's doing the wheels, CMC. Um,
Yeah.
and
Gotcha.
yeah,
Yeah, this thing's cool.
the thing's going to be freaking rad, dude. It is going to be awesome. Now, like I said, I'm not going over the top with like the bed and the detail that they
Yeah,
have.
there's had all this sort of voids in it. Like you couldn't really put much in it other than a couple boxes or something.
Yeah,
Not
not
that it's a
happening.
work truck, but
No,
they
but
were
I
doing
mean,
something a little different there.
I'm doing a deal with a company called Rhino Metals, and they're doing a custom gun safe in the back of the bed. So, I mean, it's a military themed vehicle, right? And Sig Sauer is going to get a mount. Hopefully, we're going to get a mount from them, and one possibly a firearm. But SEMA is not going to let us put a 50 caliber turret on top. But you
Right.
can bet your ass once it rolls out of SEMA, and hopefully it rolls into the SHOT Show, it's going to have a 50 cal turret on top with a 50 caliber gun.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
um, I'm building this to be the Goldberg of freaking trucks, and I can't wait. It's a build that quite obviously we've been trying to put together for the last 6 years. Right when I saw the truck in 2019 at SEMA, I fell in love with it, and so that embarked me on a path to try to get it done. And with the help of so many people, I mean, Ram helped us out exponentially. The head of marketing for Ram, Nate, and then, Mr. Kaniskas coming back. And, I spoke to Trossel yesterday about it. Mark designed the TRX, and he said, you know what, this is kind of cool. If I got an idea or two, do you mind if I throw it to your way? And I'm like, oh, okay. Well, the guy who designed the TRX and has such a handle on a lot of the shit that the SRT program means to everybody. Well, yeah, sure. Right.
Yeah, he's
So
such a good guy.
he's a great guy. And there's so many people that want to be involved with this because it's a fun, cool, badass project. I
Yeah.
mean, it's unbelievable. I can't wait. 511 Tactical is, I think, is going to jump on board, and hopefully we're going to get Grunt Style. I got a meeting with them next week, and there's just a lot of and Rigid Lighting, and anybody else military wise that you think could jump on there, man. Send us a note, because this is going to be some fun shit.
Yeah.
And like I said, I spoke to DSR this morning, and they're fully on board for slapping in a monstrous motor in that thing.
Right. So
So
Dave Salvaggio is taking the lead on this.
yeah, Dave
Yeah.
Salvaggio is taking the lead. The renderings came from his guy. The M715 has been sitting in his shop for 5 years
Yeah.
because I bought it within months of me buying this property in Texas, and we've been here since 19. And we've just been waiting for. I'm not going to go out and buy a brand new TRX and pull the body off of it and put a freaking 68 body on it, and do all that. At the end, it would be a Ring Brothers $300,000 freaking truck. And I'm going to jump shit in this, and I'm going to shoot a gun off the top of it,
Right.
an automatic machine gun, right? So I wanted to kind of do it right. So we had our eyes on a wrecked. well, kind of a thrashed TRX, and we were trying to get it from Dodge. And fortunately, again with Tim's reemergence as the leader of the pack, um, we got it done in a very short period of time, and hopefully, a donor vehicle is on the way to Dave's as we speak. So,
Yeah.
um,
The,
we,
the the truck when you bought it originally and before you sent it over to Salvaggio, how do you fit in it? Do you fit in it well? Like how is it
it's
big?
it's huge.
It's huge.
It's
Yeah.
huge. It's so freaking cool. It's one of the only vehicles I've ever been in that I really can. It's like a couch. The front seat's like a big 57 Cadillac or something. I mean, it's huge, or a big Impala back in the day. The thing's unbelievable. Now, granted, we're going to change the cockpit, but um, yeah, it's huge. I'll send you a picture of it soon, and hopefully you can put it up. Um, it's a side shot of me sitting in the front driveway of the house right when I received it. Excuse me. And I knew it was the project for me. I knew it was the truck for me. I've been waiting for this for a long time, and I think with Dodge's reemergence back into the power struggle of manufacturers here very, very soon, that you're going to feel, every freaking Ford owner, Chevy owner is going to feel the wrath of what Dodge is about to come out with and what
Yeah.
Ram is about to come out with, because you guys have been laughing at us for the past year. Rightfully
Rightfully
so.
so.
Rightfully so. And, we've been laughing at ourselves. We just kind of in private, but I'll be damned if the gloves haven't been taken off. And if Tim Kaniskas is back in power, I can guarantee you, and I've probably said this before on this podcast, that number one, it's not like it was cheap to get him to come out of retirement, number one. And number two, I guarantee you that they do not have Demolition Ranch. Yeah, Matt, I love you. I can't talk right now. There's no way that they're going to have anybody telling him what to do.
Right.
Right.
They can't put all these restrictions on him and say, come back, fix what's
Not have
wrong, but do it under our restrictions and terms. It can't really
no,
work that way.
no,
So
no, can't really work. It's not going to work that way because he didn't have to come back. And if he's not being able to spit out what he believes in and what he built this damn thing on, then he's not coming back. It wouldn't be worth it for him. So whether it's hopefully Dodge getting back into maybe some kind of motorsports all across the board, or
yeah,
whatever or coming out with the Hemi again, maybe, right?
yeah,
Uh the truck aspect, the sports car aspect, it's all about to change. So all you guys that have been laughing at us, you better figure out a different mode of operandi, because we're coming back, and we're coming back to hit the hammer down, man, big time. So I'm so excited. I'm obviously, you can see it in my expression here, but we're back, baby, and
yeah.
I
And
can't wait.
I like the competitiveness of it. We've talked about that before. It's like
Absolutely.
we get a cool TRX because the Raptor did well, right? And we get competitive, pony cars or muscle cars because there's competition out there. So as much as I, think the new Mustang is cool and what Ford is doing in motorsports across the board, drag racing, off-road, everything,
Uh-huh.
it's more fun if we get to see the competitors out there, to see Dodge out there. I'm a fan of the Camaro. I think they should bring a Camaro back. It seems unlikely at this point. It's not 100% closed for good, but it seems a little unlikely for now. And then what does that Camaro mean? But and look, what I'll tell you, it's like I don't know if you saw this news, but Ford got the trademark on a Mach 4, and everything's sort of indicating a four-door sedan, a muscle car sedan, because there's no four-door Charger that that like
Oh,
you have, right?
there will
And
be.
Right, there will
There
be.
will be.
There will be, but the plan for a while was just like we're going to do EV and we're going to get rid of the V8s and we're going to maybe we'll do the six cylinder in there. And if you think about the numbers, as cool as we talk about a Challenger, the Charger outsold the Challenger like 2-1, almost 3-1 or something
And
for
I've
people
always
wanted.
liked it 10 times better. Yeah.
Yeah. So for Ford to go, listen, it's unconventional to have a four-door Mustang, but the Charger did well, and that was cool. And people wanted that performance and dynamic, but they wanted the space. And so why can't we do it? And
Hey, badging is cool when it's all freaking sentimental and all that shit. But at the end of the day, if you can't sell cars, badging means absolutely nothing. So
yeah,
this is the age of reinvention, and uh I'll never forget. I go to SEMA and there's a four-door Charger. I see a picture of a four-door Charger, and then I come into I come into uh, a dinner with a couple people that might work for the company, and I'm like, you know what? I wish there was a two-door coming out, right? And then they're all saying nothing, and then it turns out that yes, it only comes in the two-door, and the four-door was shelved. Well, don't think that they're not going to try to bring that four-door back and
yeah,
bring it back strategically, because I might have seen a picture of it, maybe, and it's freaking awesome.
yeah,
And if Ford, yeah, hey, if Ford, look at what they, okay, you're a Ford guy. Look how they bastardized the Mach E.
yeah.
Mach, okay, right? So what do you think they're going to do to the Mach 4 if it actually looks cool as shit and people buy the hell out of it? You think that's going to taint the image of the past? Hell no. It's just going to add to it, right? So I think it's a brilliant idea.
I think it's a good idea. And
Yeah.
because I've got no problem with it. Like, I think for a while we were all getting way too far into like you're changing the brand. That's not what this is. Like Porsche does an SUV and people are like it's going to ruin the Porsche brand. It's like and they sell a ton of those.
Exactly.
Lamborghini does an SUV, Ferrari does an SUV, and people are like okay, and it didn't really change the brand. It didn't diminish the value
Nope.
of 911s, when the Cayenne came
I
out.
think the biggest one is the what's the Lamborghini?
The Urus.
I think that's the biggest example you could get,
Yeah.
right? Because that's the company that is so far muscle car. I mean, it's so far exotic car to that end of the spectrum that there's no way that they'd be able to satiate people and actually succeed with a four-door,
Yeah.
SUV, and they blew it out of the water, right? I
Yeah.
think so. And Porsche, you use Porsche as an example. Now Ferrari's doing it. Now
Yeah.
everybody's doing it. And so at the end of the day, nostalgia, if it doesn't sell or if it sells, then you can change your tune to anything pretty much.
Right. Yeah. Well, I think it'll be interesting, and I like to see that competitiveness to it. And I'm excited about to see what comes out of Stellantis as a whole, out of Ram and Dodge and the whole group. I mean, there's a lot to other issues to juggle, stuff that Alistair and I got into this past week was all the tariffs and what does it mean
And the
and
EPA, what restrictions are they going to have on what can be done in the future power wise?
yeah.
So I mean, yeah,
And maybe under the current administration, some of the rules around EPA will lighten up a little bit, but it's not that. Again, we have EVs; they're not going anywhere. It's an option that's available for people that want it. And my truck, my Lightning, I like the convenience of never going to a gas station.
you said one of the best things I've ever heard. EVs are not going anywhere. You are correct there.
Yeah.
They're not even going off of the dealer lots.
Right. Well, one of the things we brought up recently was uh, they are affordable now, like
Well,
between the
no
tax
shit,
credit
because
and the lease
what's the
rates.
resale on a freaking EV?
Yeah,
They got to be affordable because
they're
people
hurting.
understand that you're basically buying a boat anchor. I
Yeah.
mean, no offense to you and your truck, but I mean, let's be realistic. I mean, come on. And I've always been the guy that's anti EV. And I at the end of the day, if you don't have choices and something shoved down your throat, I don't care if it's diamond studded. People aren't going to like it.
Yeah.
And that's what happened to us for a short period of time. And now hybrids are, I believe, the way to go. And that's the future, and the ability to offer everybody a choice. That's the future. And that's where I think that's where I think Ford and Chevrolet have killed Dodge and Ram and Stellantis as a whole in the past number of years because they give choices. They give you the ability to pick out whatever you want. And they
Yeah.
don't tell you, okay, we're building this and that's all you get and like it or leave it. That's the wrong way to go about things, no matter what it is.
And then the tariff issue we brought up, and that still needs to be navigated because it's changing. It seems like almost daily. But we on a high level we think, oh, what vehicles are not made in the U.S., what vehicles are made in the U.S. But it's not that easy of an answer because there are components that come from all over the place.
Oh
We
yes.
may make like a Ford Maverick in Mexico, but the engines come from here. So they got to cross the border and then get taxed and then taxed again when they come over,
Well,
like
what's the
all the
biggest
components.
yeah, what's the biggest example of that? And it brought it to the forefront. COVID.
Yeah.
We found out during COVID what where cars are actually built and where their parts are actually built,
Right.
you
Yeah.
know? So yeah, the dynamic of the
You're
whole
right. That's a
thing
good
is
example. It's like how many vehicles we're going. We've got all of these cars sitting on in the lot at a manufacturer because they're missing a computer chip or a certain piece that
yep.
came from some other country. So yeah, that's a good example. All right. So you mentioned hybrids, and I wanted to bring this up because now we're getting closer to the ultimate hybrid,
Uh-huh.
the Corvette Zora.
But okay, before you get into that, I had a conversation with someone very high up in a major manufacturer the other day, and we brought that car up,
Yeah.
and they said, "Oh, well, what is it, the
It's
Z06
a
or
ZR1.
the ZR? Which is I'm not a Corvette guy, so
So we have
what's the
this
one right under the Zora?
the ZR1.
Okay, so the ZR1, in his opinion, is going to be the car to have 10 years from now, 20 years from now, whatever. And I'm like, well, what about this Zillow or Zorro
Zora.
thing? And then he's like, well, technology wise, I might understand it, but it's a boat anchor because the front end is they're independently, it's batteries, right?
So it's got
So
two electric motors.
even though the numbers surpass the prior model, as far as collectability and what it's going to be in the future, it pales in comparison to the other. But I'm thinking like both ways, right? I mean, because the others, what? How many more horsepower is the Zillow or whatever
The
the
Zora.
Zillow?
So
Zora,
the
excuse me.
the
I'm going to
ZR1
write that
is
down.
is I want to say 1,000 and change. It's going to be 1,064, and this will be about 1,200. But it also, with the two electric motors on the front, it adds the all-wheel drive aspect. So the way it hooks up and launches. So yeah. So you brought up an interesting point. This is something we brought up in the past. Was on paper, the performance, this thing is going to be awesome, right? And it'll still sound cool because it still has the ZR1 engine in the back, right?
Yep.
But when it comes to collectability, we have seen like the supercar hybrids or even the EVs, like a Rimac, not necessarily doing that well because the concern is when those things sit for a while, a McLaren P1, a LaFerrari, they sit for a while, the batteries don't get cycled through, they're not being used. Like and in a Ferrari's case, for example, the main battery has to be replaced. Uh, there's been some issues there. Now, Porsche is already I think McLaren's starting to do this too. Porsche is already working with companies on taking anything that they do hybrid and creating some longevity to it, like replacement batteries and an aftermarket company they're partnering with that somebody can sustain that thing through the life of a collector, not just, your warranty. It's
But
like,
is that possible?
uh,
Because of technology, reinventing itself year after year after year.
well, there will be a battery that you can put into it, and maybe even that battery becomes a little better over the years because of technology, but it still has to plug in. It's us taking the cool little RC cars we would play with as kids with the nickel metal hydride battery, and then over the years getting lithium, lighter, more
Yep,
power, and then
same thing.
do they plug into the same grasshopper that you had back in the day? Like that kind of thing. But the car companies all need to have that thought in mind going, in 20 years from now or in 5 years from now, when one of these vehicles crosses the block at Barrett Jackson or Gooding or whatever, they need to be answer those questions. What's going on with the battery, right? So yes, but the
Well, ask
Zora,
ask 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 what's his name that had the Ferrari?
yeah.
Uh,
Well, Sammy Hagar had his, and
Sammy.
they had to
Yeah,
replace the battery,
exactly.
and then then they got it worked out, and then it's a cool car to have. But I was at Barrett Jackson one year with Peter Clute from Legendary Motor Car. He was there. He literally, I was sitting next to him, and he's like, "This is a bargain on a McLaren P1." Or yeah, was it the P1? I think it was the P1, and he bought it. And they've gone up a little bit, but I don't think it jumped up quite as much as, he was like, it's 900,000. I'll get 1.5 million for it. It was like, but not right away because people are still cautious about, the hybrids. But that being said, I agree with the Z06 is a really killer Corvette and it sounds amazing. The flat plane crank and naturally aspirated the ZR1 adding turbos to it, adding 1,000, it's 1,064 horsepower. It's rear wheel drive. It's a rocket ship of a car. And then the Zora. We're combining the E-Ray with the ZR1 and we're adding somewhere around 1,200 horsepower. It's going to look a lot like the ZR1. You'll see some different front grille because of different cooling and stuff you need for radiators and the battery and stuff like that. But it's going to be cool. It's going to perform, and yes, the question is going to be, is this going to be the most desirable one, or is that ZR1, the twin turbo, is that going to be the one that kind of fits in there? Is that going to be the one that stands out among collectors?
So the ZR1 is the one I'd like to have, and the Zorro is the one that I'd like to go to Radford and drive.
Yes. That's probably that's a pretty accurate of way of explaining it. But listen, I'm with you on this, and if you look at what's been done previously, specifically the NSX, I like the NSX. I had a lot of fun driving that car. I think it's very cool. And it just didn't blow people away. And that's exactly what, not exactly, but it had the engine in the back. It had electric motors on the front. It was a blast to drive, but it didn't meet the sales numbers that I think they wanted. So, anyway, it's an interesting thing. Listen, as a Corvette owner, it's cool to see, or as a Corvette enthusiast that are out there, to see the lineup of Corvette evolve, from C8 to E-Ray to Z06, ZR1, and now Zora. Like you talked about options. Yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff you can get in the Corvette world.
Absolutely. And as a muscle car guy, and as an American guy, excuse me, um, I can greatly appreciate the package that they have that they have come up with because of the bang for the buck and the performance level that that car is at right now is
Yeah.
unsurpassed by any American vehicle.
Yeah. And for the money,
It
I don't
doesn't
think you can
cost you
get any
300
better.
grand.
Yeah. For the money, I don't think you can get any. I mean, you can go, oh, there's going to be markups. Anything cool right now has markups. So take that
Absolutely.
aside. Look at the sticker price. Um, yeah, it's
Bravo. I don't own a Corvette. I never have. Now, through my television show, I trade for one. So I will own one here pretty soon, but I can't divulge all of that yet. But I've been a fan for a long time, and to be able to see what they've been able to do over the past 10 years or whatever, technology wise, and to put it in that package is too small. Damn it! But it's an amazing feat that they've been able to combine all that for a reasonable price.
yeah, yeah. Anyway, they're doing some cool stuff. I'm excited to see that car and see the see what Edmunds does with it and get the track numbers and test numbers. I'm sure they're going to bring it out to their U drag videos and put it up against some really, really fun stuff. You know, yeah, I'm sure they're going to have fun with that. All right, man. I think we're going to wrap things up, let you finish the breakfast and get some rest. You got to kick this cold, man. You're in rebuild mode.
It sucks, and the only thing that sucks worse than turkey bacon is cold turkey bacon.
Yeah. Well, listen, you could throw that hunk of junk in the microwave and heat it up a little bit. It's not going to get worse.
Oh, that's for damn sure, man. That's for damn sure. I mean, it's all good. It's all
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
All right, man. Guys, thanks so much. Until next time, keep the air in the spare and the bag in the wheel.
Boom.